I've always loved the outdoors. If it happens outside, I've tried it at least once in my life. Hiking has always been my favorite, though. I'm a pretty seasoned hiker, never really been one to stick to the beaten path. When I moved, I was excited to find a place right near the river in the strip of the sprawling woods that ran through the city I lived in. It was new terrain, and I couldn't wait to explore it. I quickly discovered that the paths that ran through the woods were the only way through in some places. If you strayed too far from the path, there were places in the woods that were so dense you couldn't even crawl your way through. Not that that stopped me, especially when I decided adding geocaching to the mix was a great way to mix things up. Geocaching is simple enough. Basically, it's a real-life treasure hunt. People hide caches and then post their coordinates online, and then other people go looking for them. Simple enough and super fun. Most caches have some cheap toy type things inside of them. The rule is, take something, leave something. My signature thing is to leave laptop stickers and the signature Samantha Supertramp in the logbook. I haven't found every cache out there. I'm not sure that that's even possible. But some of the caches right off the main path I stop at regularly to check the treasures and drop new stickers if someone has taken the ones I left on my last visit. I like the idea that my stickers make someone happy. I've been doing it every weekend for a few months now, but if I had known what I was doing, I never would have revisited the same caches over and over again. A couple weeks ago, I ran out of stickers and chose some other small treasure items I had instead for my weekly adventure. This was my first concerning geocaching trip. The main trails through the park are usually well worn, and I've always run into a few people when I find myself on the actual trails. However, the space in between the trails is wild, overgrown, and difficult to navigate. This is my favorite place to look for caches. Usually, when I take these adventures, I stop at ones I know on my way into the woods, and search for new ones on my way back. This faithful trip was no different. Even without my stickers, I hit a few of my favorite regular caches. However, I found something interesting in my last on-trail cache. It was the only new item in the cache since I had visited last weekend, and the only thing missing was my sticker from last time. The object in question? It was a necklace, but it looked exactly like one I had lost years ago. Confused and a little excited, I went ahead and swapped the necklace with one of my trinkets from home. I was excited about my little coincidence and excited to have a duplicate of something I had lost. I didn't really think anything of it as I curiously checked the logbook for the name of the person who had added the necklace, and was surprised to find someone else using the name Supertramp in the cache log. My first thought was excitement. There was someone else geocaching who might be a fan of the same book I was. I went ahead and scribbled down Samantha Supertramp and the date on the line below Alex Supertramp, and re-hid the cache in its hiding place. The rest of that trip was without incident, and I found some really cool new, difficult caches on my adventure. When I went out the next week, Alex had been all but forgotten. After my last adventure, I had added one of my new favorite off-trail caches that I found last time to my list of caches to check back in on. When I reached it, I discovered that my trinket from last time was the only one missing, and the item that had replaced it was another necklace. Once again, like one I had lost years ago. I pulled out the log, and sure enough, dated the same day as my last trip, was Alex Supertramp. An involuntary chill ran down my spine as I stared at the name. I turned the necklace over in my hand a few times, staring at it intently. It really did look exactly like the one I had lost when I was in college. Feeling a little rattled, I stuck the necklace in my pocket and left a trinket rather than a sticker before setting out to find my new caches for the day. This carried on for 3 more of my visits. Each time, one of the caches I would regularly check had one new item replacing whatever I had brought. Each time, it was a piece of jewelry that looked disturbingly like something I had lost. Each time, Alexander Supertramp would be scribbled in the logbook, always with the same date as my last visit. Now you might be thinking some other geocaching enthusiast had discovered my stickers and tried to collect them. But their replacement items were weird. And it wasn't just because the pieces looked like ones I had owned before. These weren't cheap pieces of jewelry. In fact, one of the similar pieces looked exactly like a white and gold diamond necklace I had gotten a couple of years ago for Christmas. I was so heartbroken when I had lost that piece out of my gym locker. I know you're probably thinking coincidence right now, Maybe someone with very similar jewelry taste just decided it'd be a fun way to stash one of their collections, and it was just coincidence that we always went geocaching on the same day. Or at least that's what I told myself. After last week, I'm not sure I can keep telling myself that, though. Last week, I didn't find any new jewelry from Alex to my usual caches. However, I was discovering new caches from my list. I discovered something that sent chills down my spine. There it was. Alex Supertramp, dated the same day as my last visit. I stared at the name in disbelief before dumping the contents of the cache into the ground. There it was, sparkling in the dirt among the usual geocache fare of small toys, keychains, and pens. A pink star opal necklace. This was a piece of my jewelry, and I knew it. I had worn it last weekend when I had came out. I felt panic rise in my chest. I had taken it off when I got home before I got in the shower. I had been looking for it in my apartment all week after losing it, but here it was. I examined the piece of jewelry more closely, looked at all the small imperfections I knew were a part of this homemade piece of jewelry. And they were all there. The small bit of blue fuzz that always manages to get itself trapped in the chain whenever I wore my blue sweater. The stone was ever so slightly off its base, and one of the prongs was ever so slightly crooked. I clenched the necklace tightly in my hand as I quickly threw everything else back in the cache and returned it to its hiding place. I didn't even bother to sign the logbook. I was on edge my whole trip back, checking over my shoulder every couple of minutes and jumping any time the trees rustled. Alex was out here somewhere, and for all I knew, they were following me. Back home, I tore my apartment apart looking for the necklace I'd found in that cache, but it was still missing. I felt violated, and I didn't even know what to do about it. What would the police care? It's not like I had actual proof that this was my necklace, or that it had somehow been stolen out of my apartment. Since my last discovery, I haven't been out geocaching or even to hike. I paid the extra fees to hook up the alarm system in my apartment. So far, I haven't noticed anything new turning up missing, but I'm waiting for the day that Alex Supertramp just shows up on my doorstep.